When analyzing data, considering the time variable is essential to correctly pinpoint the evidence and adequately observe its evolution, which is in turn necessary to draw conclusions, make informed decisions, and plan with greater certainty. In Devo Activeboards, you can easily set time ranges to obtain segments of data for analysis. These segments may present different degrees of variability depending on the type of time range specified. Fixed segments for absolute dates, shifting segments for relative or snap-to dates, and ever-changing segments for real-time dates. Apart from using the interface to select time ranges, it is also possible to introduce them manually using time expressions. This is covered in a dedicated video linked in the description below. All these options affect the Activeboard globally, but there is a way to refine the scope and affect only specific widgets, the custom date ranges. Let's see all this in Devo. Once inside the Activeboards area, you can activate Edit mode if you want your changes in the time settings to persist for future sessions. In this Activeboard, we have a series of widgets to analyze different situations. Let's say we need to evaluate a specific time period other than the one we are visualizing right now. To do that, we need to specify absolute dates using the calendar in the time window. Observe that the different widgets change to reflect the data inside the specified period. Pay special attention to widgets with queries that contain grouping and aggregation clauses, because you might see timings outside the specified time range. This happens when the start or end dates fall within a grouping period, which is not omitted despite not being a full period. Though this grouping period is shown on the widget, it comprises data that corresponds only to the segment that actually falls inside the time range. Similarly, if the time range is shorter than one single grouping period, the period will be shown, but the data will correspond only to the segment inside the time range. If the grouping period is not temporal, there will be no temporal reference inside the widget, but the data shown will still correspond to the time range specified. When establishing a time range, we can also use a relative date, which takes the current moment, now, as a reference point to go back in time. To establish a relative time range, we can make use of the presets available in the time window. Keep in mind that what we mentioned before about time range and grouping period interaction applies not only to absolute dates, but to all types of dates. If you want to avoid unrepresentative data samples resulting from analyzing incomplete time frames, you can use the Snap To option. This option takes you to the starting point of the time frame selected, taking the current moment as a reference endpoint. The last option we are going to explore is real time. Be aware that you need to use now as end time. Otherwise, the option will be disabled. Once you activate the option, all widgets affected will display an icon so you can quickly identify them. All these options can be used in individual widgets to override the time range specified for the Activeboard. It is called Custom Date Range and can be defined in the data settings of every widget. Observe that this widget no longer displays the time range specified on the Activeboard, but the custom date range specified in its settings. Moreover, an icon appears so you can quickly recognize widgets with custom date ranges. Thanks for watching this video. Visit us online to keep up to date with the latest content.